Today's episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, and if you're looking for a real partner in planning your next trip to Walt Disney World, want someone who's going to help you plan that extra special event at your trip to help make you and your friends, like Mr. Newell, if he was going with you, make it that much more magical, even for him, because Mike is a very hard guy to please. But the good folks at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel know what makes Mike happy, and they can make you happy too. Why not give them a try on your next trip? Visit them online at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It is Wednesday, December 10th, 2008, and this is episode 499 of WDW Today.
Wow.
I'm Matt Hatchbrick, StudioCentral.com. On today's show, we have Len Testa, co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. And Len, I was looking at your contract while on the John, and I noticed that if you don't get to 500 episodes, we don't have to pay you. So,
so listen.
It's been fun.
Really great.
It's
Good
been
luck.
fun.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Good luck, bro.
I just wanted to. I was noticing in my own contract that I do have a roster bonus in the spring, and I just want to say to all the fans out there that I love playing in this town, and you guys are the best fans everywhere. So, God forbid anything bad should happen to me between now and then.
Also joining us today is Mike Scopa, allears.net. Uncle Mike.
If you would like to join our jamboree, there's a simple rule that's compulsory.
Simple rule that's compulsory. Mortals pay a token fee. Go ahead.
Jack.
And also joining us is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Mike, you'll get $1 million.
Oh, I feel like $1.380 there, Fez.
Yeah, he looks all green and wrinkled. Yeah.
And also joining us today is the fabulous Annette Owens of MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Annette, I don't know about you, but this Caribbean weather is really nice.
Parasailed this morning, and now I'm finding out that maybe I'm getting Len's contract, maybe?
That's great.
Am I starting to get paid now?
Twice what I'm making.
Woohoo!
Well, it's Wednesday, and even though Annette and I are in the Caribbean, we're still answering your listener questions. And we'll start out with a question from Jerry, who just went to Disney Online and saw that the dining plans have been changed. As a previous user of these plans, I was disturbed to see that you cannot choose the one counter service and one table service any longer. I did like the change of the 2 counter service meals. I still prefer that my family all sit down and share a meal together, but I'm realistic and understand that it's sometimes not feasible during a Disney vacation, so the 2 counter service meals would be a great viable option. I toyed with the 3 meals per day option, but based on past experiences, the amount of food would be more than my, quote, I love to eat stomach could handle in a day, especially while walking the distances required to traverse the parks. I put a pen to the paper, and it seems that Disney is basically giving you a dessert, the set price you pay for the 2 counter service meals. That is, if you choose the more pricey eateries and the more pricey entrees. My true question is, did Disney do away with the 1 counter and 1 table service plan as I see on their online reservation site? No, that plan is still there, right? And at the old one, I mean,
The old dining plan?
Yeah.
Still there.
Still there, yeah, Jerry. I think
It's the standard plan, yeah.
that's the standard one. I mean, they've added other options to it, and they've got that counter service meal option, which is coming up in 2009. But the old one is still there, Jerry, so don't worry about that. Next email.
The interesting thing, though,
Yes.
the interesting thing about the dining plan, though, is he's absolutely right that you get the most for your money if you eat 3 table service meals on the deluxe plan, but no one in the right mind could do it, and you certainly couldn't do it for a week.
Right. Absolutely.
That's the thing. So remember, I did an article for the All Ears newsletter a couple months back, and I created an Excel spreadsheet that tried to figure out what the value of each component of the dining plan was, and it was interesting because the equations only worked if you assumed the 2 table service and 1 counter service meal. It didn't work out if you assumed 3 table service meals. So Disney must also be making that assumption too.
Interesting. Next email's from Nicole in Greenville, Wisconsin, who writes, hi, everyone. First, I don't know why people complain about the lack of promptness in answering questions. You answered my question about Shades of Green versus Caribbean Beach about a month ago, and we aren't traveling until sometime else. Anyway.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Now, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to share a Disney funny with you. Went to Six Flags in Illinois this past weekend. I know, no comparison to Disney, but it's only 2 hours from home. Nintendo DS is a sponsor at Six Flags, and they had posters up quite a few places and big stickers on all the trash cans advertising a game. Guess what game they were advertising? Wall-E. I can't believe Six Flags will let them do that. Pretty funny. Keep up the great podcasts.
That's funny.
So
That's great.
if she went to Six Flags this past weekend in Illinois, it's rather cold in Illinois.
Or in August, I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Next email is a good friend of mine. It's Deb from Michigan, who writes, Mongello, Matt, Mike, Len, and Annette. I really enjoyed your show on Chirp Reports. You all made some good points and shared some tips I had not thought about before. Instead of using a notebook, I use an autograph book to record my notes in while I'm there. I usually write notes on the right-hand side of the pages, and will get autographs or cast member autographs on the left-hand side of the pages, if opportunities for those come up, of course. Thanks for all your hard work on the show. See you at Mousefest. Yeah, and Scope, I mean, when you're talking, going back to Chirp Reports for a second here, I mean, it really doesn't matter if you're writing novels or you're just jotting down quick notes like, went on this ride, this is what I thought of it.
Well, the thing is that you're not going to write your trip report while you're in the park, but you're just writing down notes to yourself so that you can flush it out later on, when you get back to your room or when you get home or when on the plane. Yeah, everybody's a little bit different. Some people will write the novel while they're actually experiencing it, but not me.
Okay. Next email is from KG from Dallas, who writes, I have a question in reference to show 434, Deluxe Resorts. We would love to stay concierge on our next trip to Walt Disney World, but I was wondering which concierge is the best. I know this can be a personal opinion, but I'd love to hear what you guys think.
So, have we stayed at every concierge building? I've stayed at the 3 monorail resorts, the Wilderness Lodge, Animal Kingdom Lodge, Yacht and Beach Club.
Bragging list, doesn't it?
Boardwalk. What's left? Oh, I haven't stayed Coronado Springs concierge.
I've only stayed concierge, Polynesian, and Wilderness Lodge. Polynesian blew it away, blew the Wilderness Lodge away. I mean, it was still nice, and don't get wrong or anything, but Polynesian is definitely my choice.
So I think in terms of food, so let's break it down into food, atmosphere, and service. In terms of food, it's got to be Animal Kingdom Lodge or Polynesian. So at the Polynesian, they give you food from either the Kona Cafe or from Ohana, and at Animal Kingdom Lodge you get food from Boma and Jiko, including desserts. Right.
Well, they explained to me at Wilderness Lodge, 'cause I actually kind of complained a little bit to them, saying, I just stayed at Polynesian, and this is the, is there going to be more food compared, because I was used to the food levels that you had at the Polynesian, and they said to me, the concierge at Wilderness Lodge told me that at the Polynesian they have their own kitchen over there, they have their own dedicated area for it, and because of that, it's a much, better is probably not the word they use, but it's in my opinion, better
using the janitor's closet over at the Wilderness Lodge. But
exactly. Very good.
But I think so Animal Kingdom Lodge, Polynesian. I think we've said this before. I think the Grand Floridian concierge is way overpriced. Now, the good thing about staying at Contemporary is the view of concierge, and so the food isn't bad at all. The concierge is exceedingly helpful. I actually had a problem there where my daughter left her. We were doing a tour of the 3 monorail resorts, and our last night was at the Contemporary. My daughter Hannah had left her Nintendo DS at the Polynesian. I just walked up to the concierge at the Contemporary, told her she lost it, and they found it and brought it back that day. That was exceedingly helpful. Whereas I had a similar kind of experience over at the Grand Floridian, and it didn't work out so well. But it was more they weren't as helpful rather than they weren't able to find something.
Well, that's almost as good as that time that Newell accidentally flushed his wedding rings down the toilet, and the great cast members were able to get it out for him. Boy, Mike, you're a lucky guy.
I am. I certainly am.
Twice, right? Twice he did it.
Next email is from Kevin Quigley of Boston, Massachusetts, who writes, Hey, Matt, Mike, and Len. I've been listening for some time now, and man, do you guys put on a great show. I recently listened to your show on Trip Reports, and I found it really interesting. I keep a regular blog, but after every Disney trip, I write the whole thing up from memory. Often this takes several entries at close to 2,000 words each.
Wow.
The reason I'm writing is twofold. One, my upcoming trip to the world is going to include a 4 parks in 1 day challenge, inspired, of course, by you guys. I'm a little nervous about it because there's no extra magic hours in the day that we're doing it. How often do you guys get inundated with challenge proposals? Might I run mine by you?
Bring it on.
All right, here's this proposal. Because my method of writing about the trip is going to be a little bit different because I'm planning on doing this during.
Is it just me, or have we had this question before? We did 2 minutes ago before Newell was listening.
I had planned to take my notebook down for a few times and weights for such, but I want to try to convey the excitement of something like this to people who weren't there. A lot of the challenge reports seem to use the word requirement a lot, as in we fulfilled the meal requirement and we were off to Epcot. My number one rule is to avoid the word like the plague. It sounds like people are studying to pass the bar rather than having a fun challenge at Disney World. Can you offer any other tips on how to approach writing up Challenge Day that is different than any other immersive and lengthy trip reports? Thanks a lot. Your show is outstanding.
Well, what I would do is I would look for a theme, and I would do a lot of people observing and try to make an observation as to the different types of guests that I encountered during my my attempt to do the 4 parks in one day. That is, will I see people who are very much in commando mode, or am I going to be looking at
people without underwear? Is that what you mean by
exactly? Wait for the shake. And I'll be doing that. I would probably try to add some kind of a theme to it, Matt. Like this, if it's a day in which it's raining, or the weather is something to do with it.
Boxers.
Next email is from Mariah of Piscataway, New Jersey.
Oh, that's
Are you kidding
that's
me?
got to be in episode 500.
How do you pronounce
The way?
Piscataway.
Piscataway?
And that's coming from somebody in New England, for crying out loud.
Oh man.
I swear, Matt, you sound like English, but it's just not.
Next email is from Mariah from whatever. From New Jersey.
Oh my
Right.
God.
Who writes, first, please add the fabulous Annette Owens as a regular.
New Jersey. New Jersey.
All right. Mariah writes, first, please add the fabulous Annette Owens as a regular. I enjoy listening to the 4 of you, but she really adds something special when she's a guest. I love when she's on with you guys. So, nice job, Annette. My family and my husband and I both enjoy your podcast, as it's one of the few things we can agree on, and we often wind up listening to it while traveling together in the car. We have a young son, and he's been forced to listen along with his car seat in the back seat. Our son will be 3 in October 2008, and he's already a very late talker. Last year, he still wasn't talking at all. Not mommy or daddy or anything that was recognizable as a word. One day, while listening to the podcast, you guys all said ding. And from our backseat, we heard the echoing ding. My husband and I looked at each other, and then I rewound the podcast to hear that ding again. Sure enough, our son once again echoed it. It quickly became a regular thing. The bell would ring, or one of you guys would say ding, and our son would reply ding. Every time he would do this. I sometimes listen to your podcast more than once just to hear the word ding from the back seat. Nice job, Lon. You're educating America's youth.
That's future unofficial guide reader, one at a time.
Almost a year later, he's got a much larger vocabulary, but it's still those dings while listening to your podcast that make me smile. I'm sure not many other folks have thanked you for this before, but thank you for helping my son learn his first word.
That's awesome.
Make sure
That's
you listen
great.
to the blooper reel, or you'll be in the principal's office all throughout his early childhood education years.
Nice. Mariah has one more tip. I'd like to add one more suggestion about going to Walt Disney World with toddlers or preschoolers. The more adults, the better. While keeping to the child schedule will definitely help with avoiding meltdowns, little ones still get moody. Having extra adults makes child swapping easier, not just for the rides, although child swapping on rides is always more fun if there's more than just 2 people interested in the ride, but for things like meals and or shows. Sit where you've got an easy access to the door, and when your child starts to get restless, one person can easily slip out the door with him or her to avoid disturbing the enjoyment of others. The more adults you have along, the more people you have to share this task. My Disney geek friends and I all found that grandparents are the best choice for this, since they are rarely always volunteered to take the little ones outside. Traveling with a group of other parents is another great option.
See, I was going to recommend Swedish au pair twins, but okay, grandparents are fine too.
That works.
All right.
Next email is from James, who writes, hello, gentlemen, and guest host if applicable. Love the show. We're going to the world next June for 8 days. We were a party of 5, 2 adults and 3 children, ages 9, 2, and 1, and had everything taken care of to rent points at Animal Kingdom Villas. But a week ago, my mother-in-law decided she was going to join with us. You only need like a dramatic music, like dun dun dun.
Oh, what's the Darth Vader music? Go ahead.
This really threw us for a loop because most studios would not accommodate this for us. The only thing that we found to be somewhat reasonable was the alligator bayou rooms at Port Orleans. We go pretty hardcore when at the park, so the only time spent in the rooms is when we'll be sleeping and for maybe a nap or 2. I guess what I'm asking is, even though the room will technically fit us, let me try that again. I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, even though the room will technically fit us, will it actually, with 3 adults and the 9-year-old on the beds, with the 2-year-old on the trundle and the baby in the crib?
And so, what? The mother-in-law is going to be in her crypt? What? What's gonna...
Well, 3 adults.
That was
Oh.
me. A
3 adults, right? Instead of 2 adults.
Oh! Missed that totally. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, what's
should
going to
be-
have to happen is one adult is going to have to sleep with, I guess, the 9-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, the 2-year-old and the trundle and the baby in the crib, that's simple enough. It speaks for itself. So you're just going to have one adult who's going to be able to sleep with the 9-year-old. So assuming that is possible, I guess that would work. And are there any ramifications for having 5 people, and I don't know, 6 people, I guess, in the room? Are there extra costs? Is it not going to happen because of fire laws?
No, you can put a baby in the room, but from experience with traveling, I would switch how you had everybody sleeping. I'd put the 2-year-old in the bed with the adult. There's more room for the adult on a double bed that way. Put the 9-year-old on the trundle bed.
Nice. Next email is from Steve Bernhardt of Appleton, Wisconsin. Writes, "Good evening, guys. I have a question about fast passes. When you get a fast pass, you are blocked from getting another pass for a window of time, usually until your current fast pass is valid to return to the attraction. How long does it work during peak season when you may get a fast pass that is for much later in the day? For example, you get a fast pass for Toy Story Midway Mania at 10 o'clock in the morning, but it's not valid until 6 o'clock that night. Are you now blocked from getting another fast pass for the majority of the day until your evening fast pass expires?"
No, it'll be 2 hours, maximum of 2 hours.
2 hours.
Virtually all of the time, it'll be 2 hours. I've seen instances where it's longer than that, but it's rare.
Yeah. So that works. Okay. That answers that question. Thank you, Len. Next email is from Bruce from Brooklyn. Writes, "Hi, all. I just wanted to comment about the podcast you did about trip reports, which by the time you read this was probably several years ago. Starting with my first solo trip to the world back in 2005, I was using my cell phone to send real-time trip reports via email to the Travel WDW Yahoo group. The members of the group had a grand time with this because when you're reading them, I was on It's a Small World, I was on It's a Small World. On one trip, a cast member gave my mother a pin at Cirque du Soleil. I emailed a description of it, and in a couple of minutes, someone responded back to me with how special this pin was. Mother was amazed at how quick I could get the information. While sending out my emails, I try and observe everything special that I see happening. It does give people enjoyment and makes some people jealous when I'm telling them that I'm having a Mickey bar. And when my trip was over, I condensed all the emails to make a daily trip report to keep on the website. I use the timestamps of the email to help track where I was at the time. Sorry, Scopa, but pen and paper is just old."
You know what I always think of when I think of people recording their information in real time. It's from the movie Night Shift with Michael Keaton, where he carries around a tape recorder, going, Post-it notes or something like that. You guys remember the movie?
Yeah, with
I'll just
Henry Winkler.
shut up right now. Yeah, with Henry Winkler.
No,
exactly.
no, yeah. He came up with all these brilliant ideas. Well, to him, they were brilliant.
Love merchants.
Next email is from Sean from Dallas, Texas, who writes, "I have a rather different question for you guys. Well, actually, 2. First off, I love the WDW Today song. For some reason, it just gets me in the mood for vacation. I have a question about a line, though. What in the world is it saying about Mike Newell? I understand most of it, but until it gets to the part where they sing, or he'll just go next to that blank." I'll actually post the lyrics, Sean.
Yes.
Yeah, it would go into the bush, I think.
I go to the freaking bush to fill up Mouthful
bush.
Radio.
Freaking bush. Right. I know, pointless question. I suppose it's just curiosity. Next, I do want to know if you guys and Lady, if she's here tonight,
Hi, Lady.
have ever said what your favorite Disney movie is. Seeing how you're all Disney fans, I would love to know what this is.
Live action
good
or
question.
animated?
What's that, Mike?
Live action
Disney-
or animation?
Disney?
Any Disney movie. You pick.
Ooh.
This is a
tough one.
toughie.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. My favorite movie, Disney movie, has to be Toy Story 1. I love that movie. It is, to me, it really is what Disney's all about. Scopa?
Wow. I'm going to go with one animated and one live action. I'm going to go with, I'll go with Beauty and the Beast for the animated. Big surprise. And I'm going to go with Old Yeller for the live action.
Who cried when Old Yeller got shot? Nobody cried when Old Yeller got shot. I cried by accident.
Glenn?
Live action Pirates of the Caribbean, without a doubt. Not only one of the best Disney movie of all time, one of the best movies of all time. Completely reinventing the pirate genre. Not only did Depp do a completely different kind of pirate, I think he captured the essence of the attraction in the embodiment of Jack Sparrow. I mean, from the opening, the fact that the opening and closing songs were the words yo ho to yo ho yo ho, to the little touches that they put in the movie from the attraction. I think it was just brilliant all the way around, and again, one of the best movies of all time. Period. In terms of animated, It's really tough. I love the first Fantasia.
But you're going to go with Atlantis?
Yes, Tron. Atlantis. Jesus, was that bad? No, I was. I'm definitely going to go with the original Fantasia. It was actually my introduction to classical music, and Bach's Toccata and Fugue is. I mean, I don't particularly like that particular song of his, but I definitely like his work because of that. I mean, I was introduced to classical music because of it. And I thought it was just brilliant.
Nice. Newell?
My introduction to classical music was through Bugs Bunny.
Yes, kill the rabbit. I mean, who can listen to Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries and not think kill the rabbit?
I can never hear the Barber of Seville without
I
singing.
know exactly. with Bugs Bunny's feet on Elmer Fudd's head. Classic. But I do love the Disney cartoons, but I think What's Opera Doc is the single best cartoon of all time. Oh, mighty warrior of great fighting stock, might I inquire to ask, what's up, Doc?
And we all know that the original Marvin the Martian was from Warner Brothers, and that South Park stole that idea with Starvin' Marvin.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, Newell, did you give a serious answer yet? I don't
No,
think so.
no, because
We're still talking about the question? Oh, my God.
I'll be real quick. My favorite animation is going to be The Lion King. I think that's like one of the perfect animated movies.
There's a scene where Simba comes up to the pool, and they just nail the colors of it perfectly. I remember sitting watching it in the theater and thinking, I mean, this is a great film. You know, like sometimes you're watching a movie and you stop for a second and you think, oh, this is really a great movie.
Yeah,
Actually,
that was one of the experiences I had with Lion King.
Isn't it the best? Wasn't that the best selling animation movie that Disney has made?
I
thought
believe.
it was.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Right about that, Mike.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? So it was. By the way, I saw Bolt this weekend and it was pretty good. So if you haven't seen it, go see Bolt.
And
Is it a Pixar or is it a Disney movie?
Oh, he'll snap our neck.
Disney.
I just saw Wall-E. I thought Wall-E was great.
Did we answer the question?
Oh, we're waiting on Annette, and then we'll answer the question.
I'm just sitting back waiting
Come
on
on,
you guys
Annette.
to finish, I guess. I'm going to have to go with Beauty and the Beast. That music and got that little. It's not that little princess moment. You gotta.
Oh, you
It's
saw a girl.
It's a chick flick.
He's like,
You know, it is. I mean, Beauty and the Beast. If I had to pick a non-Pixar movie, some people make a distinction between Pixar and non-Pixar movies, but Beauty and the Beast is really phenomenal. I mean, I've never associated so much with Gaston before in my life.
what does he say? I'm particularly good at expectorating.
Oh, great.
Next email.
What does he say? The baguettes. Somebody.
The baguettes.
Marie, the baguettes.
The baguettes.
Hurry up.
Marie and the baguettes. Wouldn't that be a great name for a rock band?
More beer. Nothing helps.
What for? Next email is from Troy Lister of Benton, Kansas. He writes, greetings, Matt, Mike, Len, and potential guests. My family is pondering a trip to Disney World next year. We don't want to go during the summer due to the crowds. We last went during October 2005, and it was a wonderful experience not having to wait in long queues for almost anything. We want to go again during school season trip, but then our son will be 13, and we don't feel that it's prudent to pull him out of school for an extended number of days. Our plan is to schedule a trip around a school in-service weekend so that we can have the benefit of a 4-day weekend that isn't a holiday that everyone else in the country would be having. That way, we could maybe take him out for 1 day of class and still be able to spend 3 or 4 days in the parks. The only problem with this plan is that we see is that we don't get a large amount of lead time in finding out when these in-service days are. Generally, they're part of an information packet we get when he enrolls in a couple of weeks prior to the school season beginning. If we say in mid-August we were to find a 4-day weekend during the school season we could schedule for a trip, how much problem would it be that we are getting a chance to make a lot of plans well ahead of time? We want to stay on-site and probably have 1 night of eating at a nice restaurant. In our previous trip, we've made arrangements a good 6 months in advance and still were able to walk into Fulton's 1 night just on a whim. Would we be lucky enough to be able to get a Valley Resort room and say a 1-night ADR with only a couple of months advance notice during the off-season?
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
Annette would know.
Maybe.
Oh, Annette would know. Yeah, but the problem is, it depends on when they're going. I mean, because
I'd say
wrong
fall.
weekend
Fall.
with marathon weekend or something, it depends on when they have that day off.
Well, let's say fall, early winter. So when school back in session, So September, October, minus the Columbus Day stuff. November minus Thanksgiving. I can do it.
I think so.
And one of the places that I got reservations for MouseFest, by the way, with absolutely no problem in terms of getting ADRs, was Portobello Yacht Club.
Well, very expensive place, Len, and that helps you get those last minute things. Is not a lot of people are going to be able to want to pay the price.
It's not in the park.
But what
either,
time are we all showing up?
I was just gonna say, when should I be
6
there?
o'clock Saturday, if you guys want to go.
No, I'm gonna be at some event in the studios.
Where you
So
want to
there's-
eat?
I don't know.
Where do you want to
I
eat?
don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And eating a lot of stuff.
That's right. Well, we got time for one more email, and that means that
There
Mr.
we go.
Newell is going to pick the email. Last week we had Annette pick the email.
Hey,
Well, you weren't here.
I forgot. I was
So, Mike-
sick. I was so sick.
All right, so Mike, you've got. I'll give you three questions, of course. First one is favorite resort area. Second is long-term pricing, or third is from Pecos to ...
Well, I would pick from Pecos to ...
I was trying to figure out what he said.
I'm afraid I can't understand you.
P-E-C-O-S.
All right. This is a quick one. It's from, I think it's Gary Hasty, who has just listened to episode 472 this morning. Oh, the horrors. I'd finally gotten over the nervous twitch hearing Matt's pronunciation of Pecos Bills. And then I hear the
Pecos.
badgering of, oh, God. The guy, Ubiwerks.
It worked.
Oh, yeah.
Ubiwerks.
Matt got beat up on that.
Yeah. So that you can add another
He just
one.
wanted to hear it again. That's great.
Didn't we get a letter from one of his relatives, too?
I think we might have, yeah.
I think a granddaughter or something.
We did a
Great.
while back. Wasn't that one of the original? Yeah, we did.
Well, anyway, that's it for us today. If you want to, don't forget that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, the official travel agency of WDW Today. And if you're looking to plan your next trip to Walt Disney World and want to have a expert help you plan your trip, want to have a little extra help with it, why not give the good folks at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel a call and have them help you on your next trip? Visit them online at www.mousefantravel.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, and send us your comments, visit the WDW Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Silva, Mike Newell, and the fabulous Annette Owens, I'm Matt Hochberg in the Caribbean. We'll see you on the next show.
Gilligan!
Put the candle back.
What?
What?
What's
Young
the kettle?
Frankenstein. Young Frankenstein.
Young Krongstein.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.